Hello everyone, I'm Lalsa and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we'll see something about attended robots. But before that guys, if you have not went through my videos on orchestrator where we discussed about what an orchestrator is, what a package and all is, and we have discussed briefly about attended and unattended bots in my previous videos. So I suggest you to go through that to get a foundation laid for these discussions. So now I have tried making these points as bullets so that we can go through each point, and by the end of the last point we'll be able to clearly understand what an attended bot is and what all are the situations in which we can leverage an attended bot. So basically guys, the first thing you'll have to understand is the difference between an attended and an unattended bot. So attended bots are something which are driven under a human supervision and they are triggered by a human. You can kind of consider them as your personal assistants. Okay, because attended bots will be in your system and you will trigger them in contrast to the unattended bots. And so you should have definitely understood that unattended bots are something which will be scheduled and they do not require any human intervention to trigger it. And these kind of attended bots, guys, will be suited for smaller and fragmented tasks. When I say smaller and fragmented tasks, I mean the task. Let me give you an example. Say, suppose you're running a payroll activity in your system. You means the bot. You have triggered the bot, and the bot is running something related to payroll. Now, as a user, since payroll is a very critical and a complex task which involves a lot of sensitive information, if you want to monitor the bot, if you cannot really take a risk on it, so in that cases, attended automation is the best fit for you. Also, if your task is very small and do not need an application like orchestrator to help you with running the process, in those cases also you can go for the concept of attended automation. The third point is very important, and the third point states, say suppose I am the user guys, okay, and I have my attended bot installed in my system. So basically I should know the credentials of the system to log in and trigger the attended bot. It is very important the person who is triggering the attended bot knows the required credentials, because there is no way to ensure security isolation between the running automation and the machine user. Definitely the person who is in between, who is triggering the bot, should know the required credentials also. And that is very important. But in orchestrator, you can overcome this problem when you're dealing with unattended bots, because you can store them in orchestrator via assets. Okay, that's a whole different topic and we'll discuss about it when we are talking about unattended automations. And the next point states that attended bots impersonate real individuals. They should run under user accounts, which means assume that I'm developing an automation. I'm deploying a bot, attended bot in my system. Assume that the bot is shooting out an email. It will be sent from my email ID, which is Lalsa's email ID, because the attended bot is installed in my system and it will use the credentials of my system. So in turn, it means that it will use my Outlook credentials, and when the bot is performing Outlook automation, say suppose, it will take my email ID and my Outlook credentials and will process the automation. Okay. Next one, you cannot typically start or trigger processes in the orchestrator on attended bots. Of course, that is self-understood, right? We are not using orchestrator in the concept of attended automation because the very intent of attended automation is that the user has to trigger it. The user has to monitor it and it has to run under the user's supervision. And that means you cannot of course start or trigger something from the orchestrator, because you generally do not deploy these in the orchestrator. Okay, so then how can you start it? There is something called UiPath Assistant guys, which will facilitate you to run an attended automation. Nevertheless, you can also run it from a command prompt as well. The most important thing is attended automations cannot run under a locked screen, which means your system has to definitely be active when it is attended automation. Okay. And there is something called user mode robot, And this is best suited for attended automation scenarios, guys, because it will run under the user that starts it and has the exact rights as the particular user. Like I told you the Outlook example previously. So that robot will basically have the exact access as I am having, because it is basically using my credentials indirectly, right? So there is something called user mode robot, and this is best suited in attended automation scenarios. So now how can you install it? While installing the robot, you will have to do this UiPath Studio Setup.exe. It will deploy the user mode service by default. It can also be installed from UiPath Studio.msi or the command prompt. Okay, so let us quickly go back through all of these bullet points. So attended bots are something which are human assistants. You can consider them as human assistants. It has to be triggered by a human, and a human will be able to witness or supervise whatever the bot is doing in his or her system. These attended bots will basically be installed in the user system, which means that the user's access, like Outlook, all of it will be the same as for the attended bot as well. Okay. And it is more suited for smaller and fragmented tasks, and also for tasks which you would definitely want to supervise, which are sensitive information. And me being a user, if I have to run an attended bot in my system or my laptop, it is very important that I know the credentials of that system to log into that system, because only then I'll be able to trigger the attended bot. There is no way of isolating this information at all. Okay. And you cannot typically start, we discussed why you cannot start it from the orchestrator, because it is for unattended bots, and since the user has to definitely start it, that is the main intention of an attended automation. You do not require an orchestrator in this scenario at the moment. In addition to that, you will also be able to start the attended bots from command prompt. Okay. And we also discussed that the important point to be noted is it cannot run under a locked screen, which means the system should always be on whenever an attended automation is running. We have discussed about user mode robot, because this is ideally suited for the attended automation scenarios. And we also saw some ways to install this service. Okay, that's all for this video. Hope you like this, and stay tuned for more videos on orchestrator and robots. Thank you for watching.